Hey guys, this is Fight Mike here. Today we're just going to be going through the UFC Atlanta card that's happening this weekend, breaking down every fight in the card and making a prediction for all the fights on the card. I'll start off with the early prelims opener of Jamie Lynn Horth versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Um, this is a little bit of a mismatch. I don't think Vanessa Demopoulos is on the same level as Jamie Lynn. Jamie Lynn's fought some decently hard opponents. She's fought Miranda Maverick. She's fought a couple of other good names, and she's got some pretty good defensive and offensive grappling. We've seen that Demopoulos has had some struggles with people who grapple a lot, and she doesn't seem to have that same level of like commitment to the game that Jamie Lynn does, because we can see fight to fight that Jamie Lynn's been getting a lot better. And I just think that Vanessa's just been looking a bit too underwhelming over the last year. She lost to Talita Alenka, which I don't really rate that as a loss, and she got finished by Jacqueline Amorim. Amorim's looking really good recently, but I still think that Alenka performance was not a good one, and I think Jamie Lynn would have a bit more success against Alenka. So I'd have to pick Jamie Lynn by a decision. I would think like a 29-28. But it won't be. I think two of those rounds will be Jamie Lynn just out grappling her against the cage. Moving on, though, we've got Phil Rowe versus Angelusa. This, I think, would be a closer fight if Phil Rowe fought more than once a year. He literally exclusively fights once a year. He's not an active guy at all. His last fight out, I think, was against Jake Matthews. He had a pretty good performance. I think that was at UFC 302. He, although he looked pretty good, he did look a bit rusty and his footwork wasn't amazing. He wasn't doing much movement of his feet or even moving his body, but he threw hard. And I think if he can connect a lot of these shots, he might beat Angelusa. But I think he looks a little bit frail in the grappling, which is obviously where Angelus is best. And just looking at Ange in this, he's an absolute unit. So I think he will be able to topple over Phil Rowe and just sort of wear out Rowe's early power. As you see, it doesn't. He throws sort of like Joe Pyfer, where his power won't stay if he's just continually grappling. So I think Angelusa will be able to take him against the cage, tank the shots that Phil Rowe throws at him, and I reckon he'll probably be able to grind out like a 30-27 decision. I also think Phil Rowe historically has made some bad decisions on the ground. And against a guy like Angelusa who's going to look for position over submission, I think he's just going to get caught in certain positions, ground and pounded, kept there, held down. And even if he gets back up, I think Angelusa's got the sort of weight to just push him straight off him. Moving on, though, we have Ricky Simone versus Charles Jourdain. Oh, sorry, for the Phil Rowe versus Angelusa decision, I'm giving it 30-27 to Angelusa. Moving on, we've got Ricky Simone versus Charles Jourdain. Ricky Simone finally got back in the win column this year. He got a brutal KO against Javid Basharat. I think he's got a pretty tough matchup coming up against Charles Johnson. Johnson, the flyweight, Charles Jourdain. People used to think of both of these guys as really good prospects. I think Charles Jourdain has been fraud checked a little too many times in his career, so I don't know if he'll be able to get this one over Ricky Simone. But these two at one point were really, really good prospects. And the thing is that both of these guys only have lost and fought really high level opponents. Like Charles Jourdain, his losses, I think maybe last year and the year before, were Gene Silver and Sean Woodson. So like he's not losing against bad guys. He's losing against people who are really close, or if not in the rankings. But I think Ricky Simone has been fighting better opponents over the last like couple of years. He fought Vinicius Oliveira, he fought Mario Bautista, he fought Song Yadong, Jack Shaw, Javid Basharat's all right. Like he's been fighting consistently good opponents, and he doesn't really get finished that much by them. He usually goes to a decision. It's somewhat close. He shoots a lot of takedowns. I think he'll be able to get some of these takedowns on the taller Charles Jourdain. And I think Jordan sometimes accepts jujitsu on like being playing jujitsu on bottom, which I don't think will help him against Ricky Simone. I think Ricky will have good enough submission defense and good enough to keep the sweeps away from him. So I think he'll be able to keep top decision, and I think he'll be able to grind out a win against Charles Jourdain. I also think he's got more ways to win. Jourdain, I don't know if I can see him getting a sub off on Ricky Simone, and getting a KO on him might be a bit difficult, but I can see Ricky Simone getting a KO decision or a sub. So like it's it's going to be a tough one for Charles Jourdain, and it's going to be tough to keep him off him because he's so much taller than Ricky Simone, and Ricky Simone's got some explosive takedowns. Um, I think he's more powerful as well, and I don't like that Charles Jourdain is cutting the extra weight, and Ricky Simone's got some newly found power, so I reckon it'll be a 29-28 to Ricky Simone. A lot of these fights I'm picking to go decision, by the way. Um, Moving on, we have got Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa. Ochoa has looked pretty good in his first showing against Lona Kavanagh in, I think it was the UFC Macau card last year. He got caught a lot on the legs, a lot on the body, lots of body kicks he got caught with, so many leg kicks as well, and lots of like full extension shots on the head and a wheel kick by Lona Kavanagh in the last like 10 seconds of the fight. Um, but he's a really good fighter, I think. I think he's really young. He's 24. He's got lots of room to improve, but he seems like a bit too quick for Cody Durden in this one. Also, in his last fight, he came back and hurt Lona Kavanagh in round two, which I think is pretty impressive. And he showed he showed across his career good jiu-jitsu, being able to leap on the back and like jump on submissions quite quickly. So I think that Cody Durden, being a grappler, won't be able to get off his wrestling as much. And the other thing is Jose Ochoa has his hands so low that he has a natural underhook to Cody Durden spamming takedowns. And he's got a pretty good sprawl as well. So I think he'll be able to sprawl hard on Cody Durden. When he throws hard and he's pretty accurate as well. Is Jose Ochoa. Um, Durden hasn't looked very good in his last outings. He got a win over Matt Schnell, but that's like the only win he's got in the past couple of years. And when he versed Joshua Van, which I think this will be a similar fight to, he's getting sprawled on and pieced up the entire time. I think it's a really tough matchup to get Cody Durden against any of these guys that aren't grapplers and that sprawl really well. Just because they're a lot faster than him, Cody Durden's kind of lost a little bit of his speed that he had early in his career. It is winnable though for him. I could see him getting a sub, but I think that Ochoa will get a TKO in the second round. Moving on, we've got Malcolm Wellmaker versus Chris Moutinho. I do think this is somewhat lamb to slaughter. I have seen Chris Moutinho's fight since being in the UFC. He does look very improved, but he's also been facing opponents that aren't on the level of Malcolm Wellmaker. He's fought one opponent with a positive record of 8-2, and then the rest have been like 14-16, 20 and 26 opponents, like real journeymen that won't be on the same level of a Malcolm Wellmaker. And I think that they're almost bringing him in just to get kind of schooled by Malcolm, just because everyone kind of recognizes him from the Sean O'Malley fight, and he's got a recognizable style, recognizable face. And I think having another one of those type performances against Malcolm Wellmaker will really help Malcolm as a star coming up. I think Malcolm's too sharp, he's too fast, he's a cleaner striker, he's got good defense, and he's really fresh in the UFC. He's not taking too much damage. So I think you'll be able to take Chris Moutinho. Moutinho's a 9-1 underdog in this, which it should show you something. So I think I could see Wellmaker even getting a finish on Moutinho. Moutinho's head movement hasn't got that much better since the Sean O'Malley fight, which he got hit with a 90% clip. So I would take Malcolm Wellmaker. I probably won't take him by finish. I reckon it'll be by 30-27 decision, maybe 30-26. I reckon he'll rock Moutinho a bunch of times. Maybe Moutinho has like a moment of grappling that works out for him, but I don't think that he's going to be able to take Malcolm Wellmaker in this fight. Moving on, we've got Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. This is like the true Unk matchup. I reckon one of these guys are going to retire, if not both. But I used to think of Michael Chiesa after that Kevin Holland Darth sub that he lost. I thought that he was just completely done. I think a lot of these guys, when they get on the UFC desk, they just sort of take their career less seriously. They know they've got something set up for afterwards, so they just don't train as hard. But Michael Chiesa has been looking pretty good. He fought Tony Ferguson. I knew that was going to be an easy win, first round submission. But then his next fight against Max Griffin, who I don't rate massively, he did look really good. His clinch still looked really high level. His boxing was terrible. But against Max Griffin, he was able to not get hit too cleanly, clinch really effectively, get his takedowns, and really just force his game plan on Max Griffin. I think Court McGee, his last few wins, he fought Tim Means, who I think is a bit lower level than Max Griffin. And when Tim Means was fighting him, he was just like 42. He didn't look the best. But Court McGee, I think, has better striking than Michael Chiesa. I could see him catching Chiesa, even though he's never got a KO in his entire career. I could see Chiesa being the first guy he KOs. That would be really fun. And I'm really excited, actually to see these two old grapplers fight. I do rate Kiesa's grappling a little bit higher than McGee's. I think McGee rushes positions a little bit much. He loses a position a little bit. And Kiesa's a bit more systematic. He goes for the back takes really early, but he doesn't do it as quickly. Whereas on the fence, Michael Chiesa will look to work around your legs and move to the back, whereas Court McGee will try to trip you and jump straight on it. I think that Chiesa is a little bit bigger than Court McGee, and I think you'll be able to outmuscle Court McGee. So I'm going to pick Michael Chiesa via, I will say, first round sub. Moving on, we've got Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. This is a rebooking from the Apex card the other week. It was called off due to herpes on Rodolfo Bellato's side. I'm not sure if Paul Craig was allowed to deny this one, because I probably would. But Bellato's drew his last one with Jimmy Cree. He showed a lot of heart. He pulled himself into mount and got beaten in the first round, getting 10-8'd. But then he won the next two rounds, looking pretty good. He lost to Vitor Petrino twice, which is a bad look, and both by KO, one on the contender, one on the regional scene. But I just don't think that Craig is going to change something up in his game. He'll probably still look for the front body kick and the rear body kick, couple of jabs thrown out there, maybe a little bit of clinch. He'll shoot for a takedown. I don't think he'll get it on Bellato. Bellato doesn't have good fight IQ, so I could see him allowing himself to go on the ground with Paul Craig and Paul Craig being able to get a win. But I think he knows that he needs to get a win on Paul Craig and he needs to put on a performance. So I don't think he is going to go to the ground. I would say he's going to win either like a third round TKO, maybe like a Johnny Walker looking KO, like where he's holding onto a single leg or something, and Rodolfo's just able to just autism force him out. I think that he's got like that brute strength. He's got that like he's a brute guy. He'll be able to muscle Paul Craig off him. I don't think he's gonna be stupid enough to go to the ground with Paul. So I think he'll be able to beat him. He's also like, almost a decade younger. He's 8 years younger. So he'll be a lot more fresh in this matchup. I'll pick Rodolfo Bellato by first round KO. Next up, we got Alonzo Manyfield versus Umar Sy. I am actually picking the underdog with Alonzo Manyfield with this. I think Umar Sy is a very good fighter, but I think he's still a little bit green for an Alonzo Manyfield. Alonzo hasn't looked that bad in his last few fights. He looked good in the Jacoby fight. He looked good in the Mirzakhanov fight until he didn't. And I think Omar Sy is just a little bit too green. He's not good on the feet at all. Like, I don't think he's the cleanest striker. He's got some nice straight shots, but he was getting caught by Dawoon Jung in his last fight, which is not a good sign. I think Alonzo Manyfield's a much better striker than Dawoon Jung, and I think he's got better takedown defense. The other thing is Dawoon Jung was able to defend some of those as well. And Alonzo, he's a 5-1 underdog in this, and I will be picking Alonzo. But I think he's a good fighter. He's got decent cardio. He's got good power. He's scrappy. He's got a heart. He's got okay takedown defense. His hands aren't especially high, so he will have a natural underhook to Omar Sy. I could see Sy grinding out a decision or a sub, but his takedown attempts aren't like amazingly timed, and he usually does use a lot of effort to get those takedown attempts. And he used to be a lot more grappling heavy on the regional scene. We've seen him try to use his striking in his last fight out, and it didn't look amazing. I think if he tries that striking on Alonzo, I think Alonzo will be able to KO him. So when Sy throws straight and conventional, I think he has a chance, but I think that he gets tired too quickly. I think Alonzo will probably make him work along the fence. I think he'll make him work out in the open. Umar is not going to be able to just jump in range and start winging shots on Alonzo without risk getting caught. So I think this is a sneaky tough fight for Umar. So I don't know why he's such heavy favorite. I know that Alonzo's shown some awful takedown defense in one or two of his fights, but it's against better opponents than an Umar Sy. So I think I'll be picking Alonzo Manyfield via first or second round TKO. Moving on, we've got Mansour Abdul Malik versus Cody Brundage. I also think this will be a first round KO. I think Mansour will actually face some adversity early in this one. Cody Brundage looked good against Julian Marquez in his last fight, but Mansour's a legit prospect. He's been training with Eric Nixick. He's been making big improvements fight to fight. He's a very explosive, accurate, and athletic kid. He does leave himself open at sometimes, but I would say that his composure will be able to keep him on that to Garbrandt, Cody Brundage. Brundage, sometimes when he gets people hurt, he just starts throwing with really evil intent. And I think that Mansour Abdul Malik will just be a little bit faster and tighter with his boxing and be able to sleep Cody Brundage in this fight. It will be a tight fight though, and I'm interested to see how Mansour deals with a crazy guy like Brundage, but I think he will get a first round KO. Moving on, we've got Cody Garbrandt versus Raoni Barcelos. This is a pretty fun matchup. I like it. I like it as a fight. It's a good way to see where Garbrandt is. I think if we have any part of Garbrandt from the past, I think he will style on Barcelos. He is another underdog. I'm picking a lot of underdogs in this card, which I don't like, but Barcelos has had some good showings against guys like um oh god. Why have I just like Brian Kelleher? He looks pretty good. He looked decent against Davison Figueiredo before he got finished, and I think if he looks like that, I don't think that Barcelos has got the same dominant grappling that that Figueiredo has. He doesn't have the finishing ability that Figueiredo has, and I also think Garbrandt has much better takedown defense than a guy like Peyton Talbot. He's always historically had really good takedown defense and an explosive sprawl, and his speed is still absolutely elite for the bantamweight division. So I think he will be able to outspeed and outskill Raoni Barcelos. And Garbrandt historically does well with wrestlers, so I think he will be able to get a KO in this one. He's a little bit younger than Raoni Barcelos, but in fighting age they're probably pretty similar. And Barcelos has decent defense, but he's just not a fast enough guy. I think he will get caught with these shots against Cody Garbrandt. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get Garbrandt down to the floor and pin him there. A lot of people are able to get Garbrandt down, but he'll spring back up. You really need to pin Garbrandt down to have a chance of finishing him in the fight. So I think Barcelos won't be able to do that, so it's going to be a difficult fight for him. I'll pick Garbrandt also by KO in this one. Moving on, though, we've got Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petroski. This is an interesting matchup. Again, I'm going to pick the underdog with Andre Petroski. I don't think that Shabazian does well ever with grapplers. I know that they put him against, I think it was like a Dylan Budka last fight, and he smoked him in the first round, but Budka didn't even try to wrestle. He got smoked in literally 10 seconds. So, like, I don't see Petrosi getting knocked out in the first second, and as soon as he gets his hands on people, whether they're good or bad grapplers, you can usually stall out a round on top. His get-up ability, once on bottom, this is Shabazian, isn't as good as it once was, and he seems bullyable once you stick him to the ground, especially by bigger guys, and Petroski, he's going to be a little bit shorter, but actually, even then, he's literally barely shorter. But he's going to be a little bit shorter, a little bit less reach. But he's a much, much more stocky guy than Edmund Shabazian. Shabazian's not a dense person at all. And Petroski's got deceptively really good timing takedowns. He's got fast hands. They're not especially powerful. He doesn't really hit them to KO you, which people are able to do against Edmund. But he sort of leaps forward with his hands to set up his takedown. And I also think, even though Shabazian's the much cleaner and better striker, I don't think that he's going to get like a pull counter, brutal KO like he did on Budka on Petroski, because Petroski's got a deceptively good defense. He's got a really high and tight guard. And I don't think he's going to get caught by these shots by Edmund Shabazian. Unless Shabazian can work the body early and make him drop his hands, I don't think that he will. And I think that Petroski is going to know that Shabazian's got a bit of a wrestling defense problem, so he'll just go to that takedown. So I'm going to go with Petroski by sub. He doesn't usually have as much ground and pound, but I think he will get the submission off. I could see also a 30-27 decision. Moving on, we've got Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. This is another really tough fight to predict. I want to go with the underdog again, though, with Miranda Maverick. How many fights in a row is that I've gone to underdog? One, two, three. Three fights. And then, so 4 fights on the main card I've gone for the underdog. So, we'll see how that goes. But oh, yeah, I have to do it. Rose in her last few fights, this is why I've chosen it. Rose hasn't looked that good. She lost her strawweight skills. She's built up to the weight class of flyweight enough now, and she's fully bulked up there, so she's lost the speed advantage that she did used to have. She's a really technical fighter. I would say more technical than Miranda Maverick, but she does get bullied a little bit at flyweight. And both of these, the main advantage that Rose has on people is that she's got really good outside footwork. But I actually think Miranda Maverick has also good footwork, or good enough footwork to hang with a Rose Namajunas. Maverick's a little bit lower set. She's a bit more stocky in the bottom, and she'll be able to actually sprawl and get her stance in the takedown attempts of Rose Namajunas a little bit better, and I think that she'll be able to land her own takedowns. She's got a physicality advantage over Rose. She's good on the fence. She's good at getting people against the cage and taking them down. And I think that she'll be able to get a close decision over Rose. Rose hasn't looked like she's got the same power at flyweight or the same just grit at flyweight. I think now that she's won the belt and she's not up at the top of the division anymore, she doesn't have the same grit that she did down at strawweight, where it was win at any cost. If it was over 5, I'd probably pick Rose as well. She's still got that good cardio. But I think Miranda Maverick will be able to win the first 2 rounds, probably get tired in the third and lose the third. But I reckon she'll win those first two, 29-28 decision over Rose Namajunas. Now, let's go jump to the main event. I'm actually so excited for this fight. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. He'll know who he is. But we were chatting about this fight and the 316 main event. I'm actually more excited for this one. I think that this is going to be a better fight. It'll be more close. And it's an interesting fight. We haven't seen Usman in, it feels like 5 years, but it's only been like 2 or 3 years. But we haven't seen him in welterweight since the loss against Leon Edwards, and that was at like UFC 280 or 278 or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see how Kamaru Usman comes back on this one. He is 36, so he's definitely coming up there on age. And Buckley's on such a roll at the moment. He's looked fantastic. On a 6-fight winning streak, all in the welterweight division. He looked really mean against Colby last time out. And the way that I see this fight going is sort of like the Song Yadong versus Henry Cejudo fight earlier this year. Funny because they both have the podcast together, but it's the old vet versus the fast, dangerous guy. I think Usman's got that fire hydrant chin that Henry Cejudo has. And Buckley's got that same power that Song Yadong has, that explosive power. He's got some good body shots. You can really hear the thump on his shots. He throws everything into it. And the thing is about this fight, I could see Usman getting KO'd because he does like to duck his head and swing a lot. And I could see him getting caught with like an uppercut that was meant for the body, but he ducked into it and ate it straight on the chin. I could see him getting definitely caught like that. But I think that he'll come out with a good game plan. He's been working for a while. I don't know if he's going to look as fast as he used to. He never was the fastest guy. And Buckley is looking really quick and really explosive out there. So I would pick Buckley to win this one. I actually think that he'll win by decision. He's got too much power and aggression, but I think that Usman will be able to stay safe and stay away from the KO. He's got good takedown defense, explosive sprawl, but we did see him taken down by Kobe Covington late in their fight. I think late round 3 he got taken down. And if Kobe can do it, I do think that Usman might be able to get a late takedown also in Joaquin Buckley, maybe losing the first 4 rounds or something, and then winning the last due to some takedowns, or maybe he's a little bit more active in the 5th. I think he's got the better cardio out the two of them. And the interesting thing about this is that although he's got the better cardio out the two, he's probably also just as strong as Joaquin, which is usually not the case. Usually the more powerful guy doesn't have the as good cardio, but this will be really interesting. So I think the most of the rounds will be somewhat close, but I think that Joaquin will be able to make the difference with some body kicks, some like hooks to the body that he was hitting Colby with, and just having that all of his shots sound really hard. I think the judges will just lean towards damaging shots of Joaquin Buckley over whatever Kamaru Usman's able to do. I think Usman will definitely come back in the 4th and 5th, but I think he'll lose the first 3 and maybe even half of the 4th, losing like a 49-46 decision. But if he comes back looking like the Usman of old, he's still got a good chance. But I just don't think he'll have the same head movement that Buckley will. I don't think he's got the same boxing defense or offense that Buckley does. And it's sort of like the new era of welterweight now, where back in the day we used to have these guys who were really elite wrestlers, but then their boxing and striking was all similar level. They were all quite scrappy fighters, like your Gilbert Burns, your Kamaru Usman, your Colby Covington. What we're seeing from this new generation of welterweights is they're not starting out as wrestlers, but they've got that wrestling defense. And The other thing is that they don't just have kicks like a Leon Edwards or an Ian Gary. They've got some really good hands. Like even Bilal, who, although he's a wrestler, he's got some really good hands. He's got, even though people make fun of him for calling him Bilal, Canelo hands, he's awfully quick on the feet. And like guys like JDM, guys like Joaquin Buckley, all of this new era of welterweights, they've sort of even evolutionized that style of being sprawl and brawl, really good takedown defense, really good get up ability, but then also having a slickness on the feet that these Kamaru Usmans and Colby Covingtons don't have. They're not quick enough. And they're not powerful enough to hang with these Joaquin Buckleys and JDMs. These guys with fast hands they go low high all the time. They're constantly feinting. They're constantly making it difficult for you. I think that this level of striker, the past era of welterweights will not be able to deal with. So I will be picking Joaquin Buckley via 49-46 decision. I have made this one. I was saying after my UFC 316 that I'm not going to go with as many underdogs. I don't go with them because they're underdogs, but I look at the fights beforehand. I don't check the odds, and I just look at who's going to win. And then for this fight card, it turned out like almost half of them I'm picking the underdogs. So there might be some good betting odds for this fight card. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Let me know what you think of my predictions in the comments section below. I'm really interested to see what you guys think of the Shabazian versus Petroski fight. I think that it's crazy that Petroski is the underdog, seeing that Shabazian only beat someone who didn't shoot on him in his last fight. So let me know what you think of that in the comment section below. Like and subscribe as always, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.